Hey, what's up? Lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss Book 2 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by Rick Riordan, The Sea of Monsters. This is a first edition book from 2006. That's when this book came out. I raved and praised The Lightning Thief in a very long review. We're not going to go that long into this one. This had a film based off of it, loosely based off of it, which came out in 2012, I think. It was bad. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about the Percy Jackson films, aside from the actors, because the actors and actresses did an incredible job with the terrible script that they were given, and I feel terrible because Logan Lerman deserves the role of Percy Jackson, and he was robbed of it to continue on with the Percy legacy. So, eventually we'll get a TV series of a season of The Sea of Monsters. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, Season 1 is going to be on Disney+. At some point, Rick Riordan is still writing the script for the pilot episode, but we gotta wait many years for Season 2, The Sea of Monsters, to come out. So, this story takes place roughly 10 months. Yeah, it's 10 months after The Lightning Thief ended. The Lightning Thief ended with Percy packing his bags, August getting ready to drive him, to the city. To New York City. Camp Half-Life takes place on Long Island, on the North Shore. So 10 months of Percy being at this Meriwether prep school, private school in New York City. He's now about to finish the school year. It's the very last day of school. He has his awkward friend Tyson, who's this giant homeless kid. They're about to go to gym class, and then all of a sudden these giants, who are called Lastrygonians, decide to throw fireballs and, explode the gym. Annabeth comes out of nowhere to save them. They throw a drachma, golden coin that it is, to get the 3 fates to drive them to Camp Half-Blood. That's where they find out that Camp Half-Blood has some stuff going on. That's the Talia's pine tree has been poisoned. The barrier to Camp Half-Blood is just disintegrating. Monsters are coming through constantly. Chiron, the camp's activities director, and centaur that he is, has been fired. Tantalus is now back from the underworld working with Mr. D, Dionysus that he is, as the new camp director. So all hell is breaking loose. All Hades is breaking loose. All Tartarus is breaking loose at the camp. So as soon as they get to camp, they have to fight off these, giant bronze bulls that Tyson beats the crap out of. Annabeth invites Tyson, who turns out to be a Cyclops, into the camp, because monsters are technically not allowed in the camp unless they're invited. So Annabeth invites him in because he has helped Percy. So they get the gist of, that the camp's being poisoned. So Tantalus decides to, say, hey, you know what? Everything's fine. We're going to have a chariot race. So all the cabins have to put a chariot race together. All the cabins of the Greek Olympian gods and goddesses had to put together a chariot race. So as the chariot race is going on, before the chariot race is going on, Poseidon claims Tyson as one of his sons. So Percy now has a half-brother, Cyclops, who's now being made fun of constantly because he acts like a child, and it turns out he actually is a child. Even though he looks like a teenager, he actually has the mindset of a 7-year-old, because ogres grow differently than humans. Who would have thought? So, flash forward to the chariot races. These Stymphalian birds, they look like pigeons, are destroying everyone, and eventually Percy and company figure out a way to get rid of them by playing the awful music. Dean Martin, I think they used from Chiron's old boombox. So it's revealed as the story progresses that they need to get a golden fleece. They need to get the golden fleece in order to heal Talia's tree, to regain the borders of camp, to strengthen the pine tree to regain the borders of camp. So Clarice is given the honor, because she won the chariot race technically, of having a quest. Percy and Annabeth are not allowed to have the quest. So in the process of Clarice getting the quest information, Percy is pissed off, and he goes to the sea, which is really the North Shore, which is the Long Island Sound. So it's not technically an ocean nor the sea, but it's still a sound, which is salt water because it's attached to the Atlantic. There's your little geography for you. And this runner comes about who turns out to be the god Hermes. So Hermes gives him these gifts and vitamins and a canister full of air, the winds, and 3 duffel bags. And then it turns out he had Tyson and Annabeth meet him there. and Percy's trying to figure out a way to then get to this ship, the Princess Andromeda, which Hermes tells him to get to. And if he sees his son Luke in the process, because Luke is still, out there, tell him that he's sorry that, he feels abandoned, things like that, to try to get him back to the demigod side, not to the, Kronos evil-doing Tartarus side to destroy the world. So Poseidon helps the three of them and sends them some hippocampus, which are half fish, half horses, which Tyson just calls fish ponies. Hysterical. He gets his own called Rainbow. Beautiful fish pony that he is. They get to the Princess Andromeda. Princess Andromeda is like this yacht cruise ship kind of ordeal. It's sailing to, Florida area. They have to get to the Bermuda Triangle because that's where the Sea of Monsters is, because that's where the Golden Fleece is. This is all coming about. So it turns out the Princess Andromeda is just filled with all these like zombie-brained tourists. And Luke and company are actually the ones in charge of the ship. So they have a bunch of monsters on the ship. They got a bunch of things going on. Percy and Luke have a battle at some point, but they eventually do wind up, in the southern states. So the kids then, Annabeth, Percy, and Tyson hang out at Virginia Beach for a bit, where Annabeth, Talia, and Luke had one of their hideouts when they originally were going with Grover to Camp Half-Blood way back in the day. They do eventually get to meet up with Clarice, who has the USS Birmingham, which was a ship used in the Civil War. So these zombie Confederate soldiers are now under Clarice's control. They are all now in the process of getting to the Sea of Monsters. They're fighting the two goddesses that are, guarding the Sea of Monsters. Their ship explodes. Tyson's gone in the wind. Percy's upset about that. And then eventually, as time progresses, I skipped a part. I'm sorry. The three, Annabeth, Percy, and Tyson get to this island, which is Circe's Island. There's this spa. No, I was correct. Okay, this happens afterwards, because as the separation happens, Clarice and Confederate soldiers are nowhere to be found. Tyson is presumed dead. It's Percy and Annabeth in a lifeboat, and the lifeboat pulls up to an island, Circe's Island. Percy's turned into a guinea pig. Annabeth is, dolled up in goddess form, and then, she realizes what's going on. She gives Percy one of the multivitamins that Hermes gives her. He comes back as a human, and all the other guinea pig males come back as humans, and it turns out that Edward Teach is in that. Edward Teach is famously known as Blackbeard the Pirate, who has the Queen Anne's Revenge. So Percy and Annabeth take the Queen Anne's Revenge with the gifts of Poseidon in order to steer the ship through the Sea of Monsters. They get through the Sea of Monsters. They get to this island where Grover the Satyr has been hiding this entire time, pretending to be a bride of this giant Cyclops, Polyphemus? I can't say his name ever. Who has now the Golden Fleece. Clarice eventually gets there. Tyson eventually gets there, not dead, because he's a fireproof Cyclops that he is. And so everyone is battling, the man-eating sheep and Polyphemus, the Cyclops, and to save Grover, and the empathy link that Percy and Grover have is still intact. They get the fleece. Percy makes Clarice jump on an airplane with $300 cash that Tyson happened to keep from one of the duffel bags after they fought a Hydra back in Virginia Beach. I did skip that part. Monster Donuts. Awesome store that it was. That was a cool Hydra battle. Not going to lie. So Percy gives Clarice the $300, tells her to buy a plane ticket. She jumps on a flight to get to Camp Half-Blood. But then, all of a sudden, Luke and company show up on the Princess Andromeda. They are now all in Miami, battling it out. And then there's eventually a draw. And Blackjack, the Pegasus, who's not named Blackjack, but I know it's Blackjack because I've read this series a bunch of times, was being held as Luke's steed, as Luke's Pegasus on the Princess Andromeda. But Blackjack escaped. Luke and Half-Bloods and Monsters are, still loyal Half-Bloods and loyal Monsters are on the ship. Turns out that there's a golden sarcophagus that is reforming Kronos from the pits of Tartarus on the Princess Andromeda. And Luke wanted the Golden Fleece himself to speed up the stealing process so that way the Titan Lord can come back and rule the world once again. So once that draw happens, and then eventually, Chiron and his acquainted long-distant family of centaurs, or party ponies as they call themselves, have a group in Florida They all help the kids get back to Camp Half-Blood. The fleece goes back on the pine tree. The border is magically restored. Everything's wonderful in the world. Another chariot race ensues because Tantalus goes back to the underworld. Chiron gets reinstalled as the camp director, as the activities director. And then all of a sudden, chaos ensues on a following morning because someone is down. There's a girl unconscious in front of the pine tree, and Annabeth was on patrol duty the night before. So Percy runs up thinking something happened to his soon-to-be future girlfriend, Annabeth Chase. Bends down and he sees this girl, and she's wearing ripped black jeans and a black t-shirt and a black leather jacket with buttons on it from bands he doesn't know. And she's got like black hair and like a choppy haircut and like electric blue eyes, and he knows who this is. And then she sits up and she's like, "My name's Talia, daughter of Zeus." The end. And you're like, holy shit, what? Like, what a cliffhanger. What a cliffhanger, because Kronos was playing them the whole time to get another child of a big three in the playing field because of this prophecy that a child of one of the big three will be the key to success or downfall of the Olympians by their 16th birthday. So now we have Percy being the son of Poseidon. We now have Talia back alive, no longer a pine tree, back alive as a daughter of Zeus, both under the age of 16, both currently at 13 years old. What? I remember reading this for the first time, and I did that exact expression. I was like, no! And I was like, when's this next book? Could not believe it. It took me by surprise. So, yeah. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan, 2006 book that it is. Absolutely incredible. Very short, 279 pages. This is the shortest Percy Jackson book, minus the short story compilations. But from novel perspective, this is the shortest Percy Jackson book. The Heroes of Olympus books are the longer ones, actual textbooks, 400, 500 pages long, thick. Those are going to take me a while to read, but to reread. But yeah, I love this book. I love how fast it is. I love the Queen Anne's Revenge having her little part of it. I love the Princess Andromeda. I like that it's sea. Like, a lot of this book took place on the sea or on islands. So it was fun because it had to do with the title. And, like, I love the cover. Like, we have a Cyclops eye with our three hero friends, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover right here, running across the rope bridge as the Queen Anne's Revenge is sailing in the distance right there. Love it. I love the visual dynamics. So, we are going to now go into book 3, The Titan's Curse. We'll see how long it takes me to read. We're coming up on watching some Christmas movies and doing some of those reviews for the next month and a half. I'm very excited. I have over 30 Christmas movies to watch. But we're going to see how fast I can read the next Percy Jackson book as well. And here we go. Mucho mahalo.